In the heart of Kumasi's bustling market, where the aroma of sizzling street food mingled with the vibrant hum of life, Madame Afua reigned supreme. Her Gari and beans, so irresistibly delicious, were rumored to hold the power to cure heartbreak and tame the wildest appetite. But behind the smiles and long lines at her kiosk lay a secret so dark that it threatened to unravel the very soul of her success. Magic older than the market itself, born of desperation and bound by a terrible price. Yet every day without fail, a long line of customers snaked down the road, eager to savor the food sold there. Madame Afua, the owner, was a middle-aged woman with a broad smile and a melodious voice. She was known for her magic of her cooking. Her Gari and beans, known locally as Red, were unlike any other in the city. The beans were tender, the stew richly spiced, and the Gari fluffed to perfection. Customers claimed they could taste joy, warmth, and nostalgia in every bite. For many, Madame Afua's food was more than just a meal. It was a remedy for sorrow, a balm for the weary, and a beacon of comfort. Strangers who had moved to Kumasi found solace in her cooking. Even the wealthiest merchants would leave their lavish homes to stand in line for her humble fare. Kwaku, an elderly man, said one afternoon as he and his friends sat beneath the shade of a baobab tree, sharing a plate of Gari and beans. "There's something in this food. It makes me feel alive again." Kwaku nodded, savoring a mouthful. "It's like eating a memory of happiness," he said. "But have you noticed something strange?" "What?" "She never runs out of food. No matter how many people come, there's always enough for everyone. It's as if her pot refills itself." The old man chuckled. "That's why she's called the Queen of Red. She must have a secret recipe." But Kwaku wasn't convinced. He'd seen too many odd things in his life to dismiss the whispers surrounding Madame Afua. As her fame grew, so did the rumors. Some claimed Madame Afua's food had healing properties, while others said it could ensnare a person's soul. A few, more skeptical, suggested she might be using unholy means to maintain her success. One market woman, Akosua, swore she had seen a strange glow emanating from Madame Afua's kitchen one night. It was like fireflies, she whispered to her companions, but brighter and unnatural. Still, no one could deny the allure of her food. Even those who harbored doubts found themselves drawn to her kiosk, their skepticism dissolving with the first bite. Behind the scenes, Madame Afua harbored a secret, one darker than anyone could imagine. Hidden beneath her kiosk was a trapdoor leading to a small earthen chamber. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of herbs, and strange symbols were etched into the walls. At the center of the room stood a clay pot, much larger than any ordinary cooking vessel. It was blackened with age and adorned with cowrie shells and feathers. The pot never cooled. It was always warm to the touch, as if an eternal fire burned within it. This was no ordinary pot. It was an artifact gifted to Madame Afua by her grandmother, a renowned priestess who had delved into forbidden realms of magic. The pot was enchanted to provide unending sustenance, but its power came at a price. Many years ago, when Afua was a struggling widow with 3 young children, she had turned to her grandmother for help. "Grandmother," she had pleaded, "I have nothing left. My children go to bed hungry, and I cannot bear to see their tears." The old priestess had studied her granddaughter with knowing eyes. "There is a way, Afua, but it is not without sacrifice. Are you willing to do whatever it takes?" Afua had nodded without hesitation. Anything. Her grandmother had taken her to the sacred grove where the pot lay buried. With chants and offerings, they awakened its power. The pot promised unending prosperity and abundance, but it demanded a toll, a piece of Afua's spirit, and once a year the essence of another. At first, Afua had resisted the darker aspect of the bargain, but desperation and ambition had driven her to comply. Over the years, Madame Afua perfected the art of concealment. She chose her offerings carefully: drifters, those without family, or those whose disappearance wouldn't raise suspicion. The pot consumed their essence, transforming it into the irresistible flavor that drew people to her food. Each time she made an offering, the pot grew stronger, its influence spreading. It whispered to her in the dead of night, its voice both soothing and insistent. "More," it would say. "Feed me, and I will feed you." Afua justified her actions by telling herself she was helping her community. Her food brought joy to so many, and her wealth allowed her to support local schools and orphanages. but deep down she knew she could never undo what she had started. One day, a peculiar man joined the queue at Madame Afua's kiosk. He was tall and thin, with a patchy beard and a walking stick carved with intricate patterns. His clothes were simple, but his eyes held a sharpness that made Afua uneasy. When his turn came, he smiled and said, "I've heard much about your Gari and beans, Madame Afua. They say it's the best in all of Ghana." Afua returned his smile, though her palms felt clammy. "You flatter me, sir. Please enjoy." The man took a bite, closed his eyes, and savored the food. "Exquisite," he said, but when he opened his eyes, they seemed to pierce through her. "Tell me, madam, what's your secret?" Afua laughed nervously. "Just love and good ingredients." The man chuckled. "Is that so?" He leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Or is it something darker?" Afua's heart skipped a beat. She forced another smile. "I don't know what you mean." The man straightened and tipped his hat. "Thank you for the meal, madam. I'll see you again soon." That night, as Afua prepared to close her kiosk, the stranger returned. He stood in the shadows, his walking stick tapping softly against the ground. "Who are you?" Afua demanded, clutching a ladle as if it could protect her. The man stepped forward, his expression grave. "I am Kwabena, a seeker of truths and a protector of balance. I know what you've done, Madame Afua. I know about the pot." Afua's breath caught. "You don't understand," she began. "I had no choice." "There is always a choice," Kwabena interrupted. "But you have allowed your greed to blind you. Do you know how many souls you've condemned?" Afua's voice faltered. I only wanted to help my family, to help my community." Kwabena shook his head. "The pot does not grant blessings, it corrupts. And now its influence has spread. If it is not stopped, it will consume everything." Afua sank to her knees, tears streaming down her face. "Please, I can't give it up. Without it, I'll lose everything. My children will suffer again." Kwabena's gaze softened, but his resolve remained firm. "There is a way to end this, but it will require great courage. You must destroy the pot." Afua's eyes widened in horror. "Destroy it? But how?" "You must sever its connection to this world." Kwabena said, "Take it to the sacred grove where it was awakened. There we can perform the ritual to banish it." Afua hesitated. The pot had been her lifeline, her source of success. Could she truly give it up? In the dead of night, Afua and Kwabena made their way to the sacred grove. The pot, heavy and ominously warm, seemed to resist her touch, as if it knew what was coming. As they reached the grove, Kwabena began the ritual, chanting in an ancient tongue. The pot trembled, its surface glowing with a malevolent light. Suddenly, a voice erupted from the pot, deep and echoing. "Afua, you would betray me after all I've given you?" Afua's hands shook, but she steeled herself. "You've taken enough from me," she said. "It's time to end this." With a final cry, she hurled the pot into the center of the ritual circle. Kwabena's chants grew louder, and the ground beneath them shook. The pot let out a piercing shriek as it cracked open, releasing a torrent of dark energy that dissipated into the night sky. Then silence. When the sun rose, Kumasi awoke to find Madame Afua's kiosk empty. The Queen of Red had vanished without a trace. At first, her absence caused a stir. Her regular customers searched high and low, their cravings for her divine Gari and beans going unsatisfied. Whispers spread through the market, each rumor more elaborate than the last. Some claimed she had left for Accra to start a grand restaurant. Others suggested she had been taken by spirits. Only a few noticed the subtle change in the air. The heaviness that had lingered in the market was gone, replaced by a sense of peace. Far from Kumasi, in a quiet village nestled among rolling hills, Afua started anew. Her days were simple and free of the burdens she had once carried. With the pot destroyed, she no longer had wealth or unending food, but she found solace in honest work and the company of her children. Her cooking, though stripped of its unnatural allure, remained skilled and full of love. She taught her neighbors how to prepare red with care, and while it lacked the addictive magic of her past, it brought genuine smiles to those who tasted it. One day, as she worked in her small garden, Kwabena appeared at the edge of her yard. Though he wore the same humble clothes and carried the same carved walking stick, there was a lightness about him now. "Afua," he said, his voice warm, "how are you faring?" Afua smiled faintly. "I am at peace, though I still feel the weight of my sins." Kwabena nodded. "The pot is gone, but its memory will linger." Take solace in the fact that you made the right choice. She hesitated. Do you think the pot's influence is truly gone? Kwabena's expression darkened slightly. Its physical form is destroyed, but such artifacts leave echoes. Be vigilant. There will always be those who seek shortcuts to power, and the darkness you fought may one day find another vessel. Years passed, and Afua's name faded from the bustling streets of Kumasi. The Queen of Red became a legend, a cautionary tale whispered among market vendors and told to children as a warning against greed. But for those who truly knew her story, it was also a tale of redemption. Afua had faced her darkness and chosen to break free, even at great cost. And in her quiet village, she built a new legacy, not one of magic or mystery, but of kindness, humility, and the simple joy of a well-prepared meal. Thus, the tale of Madame Afua serves as a reminder. While the allure of power and success can be overwhelming, true fulfillment lies in living a life of honesty and love. The past may haunt us, but redemption is always within reach for those brave enough to seek it.